Chapter 8. The story continues of facts missing from the Bible as more discrepancies are found.
Jesus' teacher did not teach the same things the Bible taught. This knowledge is what Suddi believed, and doesn't mean I believe it all to be true.
I'm just showing that there were other belief systems from the community Jesus learned from than what was in the Bible. "18 facts not mentioned in the Bible."
The Messiah is their prince.
Suddi said the Messiah is their prince.
It can take more than a lifetime to read all of the scrolls.
It can take more than a lifetime to read all of the scrolls. The psalm is like a message to God in which you speak directly to God with your heart. Bible names are pronounced differently than most religious people know. For example, Jerusalem is pronounced as Jerusalem. Many books are taken out of the Bible. Maccabees is pronounced Maccabees. Maccabees is a book taken out of the Bible. It can be found in the complete 54-book Apocrypha's book. The British and Foreign Bible Society dropped the Apocrypha from its Bibles published in English in 1804. This decision broke with the tradition of Miles Coverdale of consolidating the Apocrypha between the two testaments. The Protestant Christian Church removed the Apocrypha books of the Bible. Now, Christians can face the question as to whether God would ask people in 1804 to remove the books, and does this man have the authority to do so? They also question the validity of the Bible, especially since the men who removed these books from the Bible weren't even prophets who proved to have heard from God, an angel, or a higher dimensional positive being. The early church also would kill people if they didn't believe in their religion. So where's the free will and positivity in that? One last thing to question and consider is that the Romans had Jesus killed and then later claimed to be Christians in charge of the religion and churches.
Are these really people we can trust to be hearing from God?
Giants erased from the Bible. Enoch is a book in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The Essene community thought it was an important book.
It is another book taken out of the Bible as shown in the Nag Hammadi scriptures.
Some believed it, some didn't.
The Nag Hammadi scriptures were found in Upper Egypt in 1945 by two archaeological discoveries that changed the study of early Christianity and ancient Judaism.
The Gnostic Codices were found near Nag Hammadi in 1945 in Qumran, Israel, Palestine. Also discovered here were the Dead Sea Scrolls. Gnostic Gospels were discovered in the Nag Hammadi, including secret Gospels such as the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and the Gospel of Thomas, which are very different from the New Testament of the Bible.
These scriptures were found in Qumran, which was known as the Essene community that Jesus learned from.
It's interesting to note that the Essenes most likely hid these books before the Romans came and killed them.
These Romans would later declare themselves to be Christians, people responsible for many killings, such as the Essenes and Jesus.
Could we really trust these people to pick and choose which books go in the Bible?
The Book of Enoch is something that has been passed down from the Kalu.
The Pharisees are the so-called lawgivers. The Pharisees and Sadducees are both assembly members arguing all day so nothing gets done. Sadducees run the temples and are a part of the laws that will be passed. They also argue with Herod what they wish would get done. Pharisees also have great wealth. Despite historical beliefs, all of humanity is equal. The Samaritans are the people from Jacob that are from Samaria. There was a blood feud, and they were considered less than their brothers. Many died to protect ancient wisdom and knowledge.
The Essenes means Holy One. Eventually, the Romans conquered the Essenes, and the Essenes allowed themselves to be tortured to death rather than reveal certain answers to certain questions. They would die to keep some secrets.
The Kabbalah explains many laws of nature and balance and how to use these for your own good. It also teaches how to open oneself up to what worlds surround us in this world and others. You know, it is older than many of the books they had at the time. Originally, Kabbalistic knowledge was believed to be an integral part of the oral Torah, given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai around the 13th century BCE, according to its followers. However, some believe that Kabbalah began with Adam.
BCE means before Common Era. The Law of One states that Moses heard from the Orions, also known as demons, and he heard from Yahweh, the creator of this section of the universe. Thus, there were other creators as well in our universe. Hebrew theology is divided into three parts. The first was the Law, which was taught to all the children of Israel. The second was the Mishnah, or the soul of the law, which was revealed to the rabbis and teachers. The third part was the Kabbalah, the soul of the law, which contains secret principles and was revealed only to the highest initiates among the Jews. The Midrashim referred to methods used to simplify or more fully explain the laws. Apparently, Dolores Cannon had unknowingly crossed over into a secret area of teaching which Suddi and other Essenes were involved in.
The translators of the Dead Sea Scrolls speak of the Damascus document, and they think there were probably other Essene communities. The Qumran community isn't the only Essene group, but perhaps one of the larger ones. Other communities were also isolated and wanted to accumulate and preserve knowledge.
Some people isolated themselves to preserve knowledge.
Scrolls can be one continuous strip about 8 feet long and a foot wide. There was a rare copper scroll that was so oxidized that it was too fragile to handle. It took 4 years before a professor at the University of Manchester, England, devised a genius idea to cut the scrolls into strips. It worked perfectly.
Gold, silver, and other treasures inside the treasure find, possibly weighing more than 100 tons.
In the 1950s, the scrolls were estimated to be worth $12 million when translated. Today, that would translate to about $153 to $157 million. Some scrolls were made out of metal if they contained more important information.
The Romans destroyed Qumran in 68 AD because the Essenes contained knowledge that they didn't want the people to know about, and they feared they'd lose power. This is the community Jesus learned from. He was an Essene. Ironically, people from the Roman Empire had Jesus crucified around 33 AD. Then, in 68 AD, they destroyed the Qumran community.
Qumran was destroyed in 68 AD. Galilean pronounced Galilean. Galilee is a region located in northern Israel. Galileans was used by some in the Roman Empire to name the followers of Christianity, known as the Galilean faith. The town of Nazareth, where Jesus was born, is located in Galilee. Jesus' followers were called Galileans, and they were the most religious Jews in the world during Jesus' time. It is also a famous place where Jesus did his 3 years of ministry, and where many Bible stories were set, as many people came there to hear him teach. The three languages of the scrolls. Most of the scrolls were written in Hebrew, with a smaller number in Aramaic or Greek.
Yes, and these languages provide a fascinating glimpse into the diverse cultural and religious influences of the time.
Energy. Everything is composed of energy. The shape and form are only determined by the frequency and vibration. Energy never dies, it only changes. Earth is changing its vibration and frequency and preparing to rise into a new dimension and a new density. There are many dimensions surrounding us all of the time. We can't see them because they are invisible to our eyes as their vibrations speed up. They are on a different frequency, just like we can't hear what's happening on other radio channels because they are different frequencies. Of course, if we turn the channel, then we can hear what's happening on that channel. Hebrew only uses consonants. Hebrew uses letters, but they do not use vowels. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, only consonants. So many words are possible. Ybut, or as most people know it, Yahweh. The A and E are vowels taken out in the Hebrew language. Yau is the name of God in the Hebrew Bible.
Suddi's versions of the stories from the scrolls and the Torah are different from our modern Bible. This can be due to hidden information not included in the Bible and misinformation used in the Bible that wasn't 100% what actually happened. And Suddi knows the real story of the true beliefs of the master teachers at that time. There is the prophet Isaiah. It is part of the Torah and not a book. It speaks of the prophet Isaiah. And there is Ezekiel, Deborah, Benjamin, the story of Moses and Ruth, and many others. It is the part about the judges of Israel. Deborah was one of these. She was one of the lawgivers. For the Israelis to have a woman over them was something of an unusual occurrence, and many of them could not stand the fact that they were being ruled by a woman. She was a very wise person. Her story is not part of the Torah. It is in some of the scrolls.
The book of Genesis in the Bible was referred to as the foundation or the beginning. The book of Exodus wasn't known in Jesus' time, but they had the story of Moses, which was very important to them.
The Torah consists of the laws and the prophecies, and then basically from the time of Abraham. There is very little of what went before. The stories are in the writings, but not in the Torah. It begins with the point of the creation about Abraham, and that he is the leader of the people of Israel, and it goes on from there. It ends with the prophets. Some of them are in the Torah, and some of them are just in the other scrolls. But it is the work of putting them together.
Suddi was trying to fit everything together with the promises of God. Suddi said Zechariah was the last prophet in the Torah, and he thought it would be easier if all the prophets were in one scroll.